Today, we will evoke what we consider to be the 7 key tax challenges for the Luxembourg banking industry in 2022. With good planning and the appropriate assistance, if you act on these 7 pillars, we consider you'll be in a strong position on all fronts. Let's start with 3 operational tax challenges. Number 1, DAX 6. DAX 6 MDR very much remains a 22 challenge for the financial sectors. Banks should have appropriate MDR procedures in place, a practical testing methodology, dedicated training programs, and DAX 6 hallmarks, red flags, and inventory storage with related audit trails in IT systems. Number 2, AML tax. A circular from 2020 added 9 indicia more specific to the investment fund business within the tax side of AML. All Luxembourg banks and other operators having investment fund business must be knowledgeable about those additional indicia and comply with the CSSF circular. While the circular may have raised a number of interpretation questions, it is time to recap on your mitigation measures and procedures to update the compliance process.
Number 3, FATCA and CRS. Since January 2021, new rules are in place, strengthening documentation obligations and increasing current penalties. Banks should prepare a register of actions in addition to their current procedures. It reflects all actions the bank has undertaken to comply with its obligation. In parallel, Luxembourg and foreign authorities have never been so active in raising requests, potentially putting your institution at risk of scrutiny. For late adopters, 2022 is the year to implement a robust compliance program on FATCA and CRS. Let's continue with the major change of the last quarter 2021. Number 4, ATAD 3. While the proposal of directive on ATAD 3 excludes highly regulated institutions like banks, Luxembourg banks should not underestimate the applications of ATAD 3 because it will create additional procedures in tax onboarding process of clients, it will impact the tax agent role of banks for withholding tax application and eventually impact holding companies or other SPVs surrounding the banks. Anticipation by impact assessment is key in 2022 and actually ATAD 3 can also be an opportunity for bankers as regulated banking products can play a role in ATAD 3 adaptation.
BEPS 2.0 Pillar 2 is about ensuring that large multinational businesses pay a minimum level of tax, 15%. To this end, various tax adjustments will be applied to groups with a consolidated turnover of euro 750 million or more. For Luxembourg banks and other entities belonging to such groups, this means the need to review their effective tax rate and tax basis, and for some assessing the treatment of tax losses and deferred taxes. Taking action in 2022 is going to be crucial to understand the mechanism, carry out impact assessment, and be ready with the relevant financial data. Let's finish with 3 other remaining big challenges which we briefly evoke. Number 5, human resource taxation. As workforces have adapted how they work during the pandemic, HR tax and obligations should be monitored. And not only from the angle of the number of days permitted to work abroad and related exemptions from tax and social security standpoint, but also special attention should be given so that the operational model does not create a permanent establishment and therefore obligations outside Luxembourg.
Number 6, transfer pricing. There is an increase in the regulators and Luxembourg tax authorities' attention on transfer pricing. Transfer pricing documentation should be consistent with the operating model disclosed to the regulator, and if not properly addressed, it may lead to double taxation consequences, with long procedures to resolve the issues. Last but not least, VAT. First, the specific development of VAT application on company car lease is a key point to consider in terms of policy determination. Finally, VAT automation and VAT pro rata deduction reviews are 2 areas which should be focused on by banks to determine if significant savings could be generated.
Thanks for listening to us, and do not hesitate to reach out to your EY Luxembourg banking tax contacts.